You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 244. Yes, 244. And without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Volt, Shield. What's going on there? Shield.
You know, I had this real deep, profound opening I was going to come up with here for tonight. I had been thinking about it the last couple of days or so, and now I've completely forgotten it in the last 5 to 10 minutes. So that's just how life goes within itself. I guess I could really throw out, when you think life's chaotic enough with 2 kids, somehow it's even crazier with just 1 kid. The oldest child, Case, he's hanging out with Grammy and Funpaw tonight, and yet Tate is running around like, you know, like a crackhead, basically, and just knocking stuff over all over the place and somehow putting a strain on the marriage somehow, one way or another. But at least he's cute. Now, if he does this in about 2 or 3 years, the cuteness factor is completely taken out, and he's just being kind of a dick. But nonetheless, here we are, looking forward to a great show tonight.
Yes, very much so, and we love him for it. You know, he's probably hyped up, and he's ready for MinneZona 244. Voldy, we've been kind of preaching this each show here, and we just want to remind the zoners and the people that watch the show that our 5-year anniversary hats are available. Yes, look at those. Voldy's got them right there for you.
There they are. Beautiful.
And that's impossible.
These types of hats, but they're awesome. You guys know the deal. Let us know if you would like one. We can put you on a list.
Look at that.
And send them off to you. The black and gray is honestly, I want both, to be honest with you. I really do. They're just awesome.
Right.
I mean,
first come, first serve. Who knows if we're going to be getting more, but I got 5 of each for the 5th anniversary. So first come, first serve on them.
Yeah, and if you hear the laugh from Eddie Murphy, I'm still getting used to the new sound bites. So
Yeah.
when I do this, obviously, that means, good point or whatever it is. So I'm still getting used to it. Bear with me. So Lucas says, I need a hat. Those are sick. Yes. So, Lucas, we will get you going as well. Just let us know what color, and we will start getting those for you. All you got to do is Venmo either me or Shield, and we will get that rolling for you. So, they're coming at... I mean, the thing is, Lucas is going to start the fire, man, because now people are going to start buying this thing. So make sure you get those hats. You guys know the deal. Venmo me, Venmo the Shield. We got you covered. So tonight, Voldy, we have a lot to talk about. One, the Wolves and Kevindurant talks. They were on, now they're off, now they're on. Now they're off. I don't know where to go next. I mean, it's crazy. I could be up for absurd statement. I could not be. That's very interesting in itself because you obviously know my thoughts on it, and we'll talk about that tonight. And then, Voldy, you talked about the Wild kind of within what you think their needs should be at each position. Now, I'm going to rattle off some names to you, Voldy. You say if it's a fit, if it's not a fit, and we ask that of the zoners as well. So you guys are more than welcome to chime in as well on your thoughts and even add some names that I haven't even brought up too. So we'll do that for Tater Tot Hot Take tonight. And then right after that, we're doing Callahan School of Logic. Now, I just love the name of it, hashtag Stop the Flop. I feel like we should keep that rolling. Tonight I'm going to talk about kind of what's been pretty much the A topic in the NBA. It's not just SGA. It is other players, LeBron, Brunson, Harden, even with that as well. So there's a lot to unpack with that. So I will talk about that tonight for School of Logic. Tonight for ARA, we've got a stacked deck. We got the Sox trading Devers. Is it Devers or Devers?
Devers.
Devers.
Yep.
To Coach Payne's Giants. Very interesting. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything from Coach Payne about that. But we'll talk about that to kick things off. And then, sticking with baseball, Shohei, he's back on the mound. We're going to chat, give our thoughts about that as well. And then, apparently the Bengals, Treyhendrickson, they're talking again. The next minute, they might not be talking again. Who knows? More on that in a little bit. And then Lyles and Tyreekhill race has been canceled, unfortunately. So there's that's kind of unfortunate. I was kind of looking forward to that. But I think Tyreek might have an edge. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then to wrap things up, big NBA trade already. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic make a blockbuster trade. Desmondbane going to the Orlando Magic. So we'll talk about that for ARA. And then, of course, you know the deal. Shield shoutouts. Shield shoutouts as always. So make sure you keep in tune. We got a stacked show. So, Voldy, I say we get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, Voldy, it is fresh, it is hot, it's right out of the oven, Tater Tot Hot Take. We start off tonight with the big news about the Minnesota Timberwolves and their ongoing talks with with the Phoenix Suns about trading for one KD, a.k.a. Kevin Durant. Now, this situation has been, flowing by the minute. It's been... Yes. Oh, yeah, the Wolves are still in good shape to get him. It's not looking like it. He doesn't want to be there. There's still a wild card team that they could still get. And It has been all over the place. I have literally heard every single person say, it's happening, it's not happening, it's happening, it's not. I don't know what's going on. I could be up for absurd statement. I might not be, like I said at the beginning. But it does not mean that the Wolves aren't the Wolves are still talking about potentially a trade. The Rockets are still in it. The Spurs are still in it as well. I'm missing a team, and I can't think of it right now. What is that team? I got to look it up now. Not the Knicks. I know the Knicks are out of that discussion.
Spurs?
Oh, the Heat. The Heat. Yes, so Spurs. Yes, so Spurs, Rockets, and Heat are still within. It seems like the Heat probably will be out at some point. They just don't have enough to get Kevin Durant, but I don't know. Maybe he would want to go there. Lucas says, I don't want KD. He's never happy.
Come on.
I mean, I do, and you know, I respect Lucas kind of putting that there, and I'll explain it here later on, but I kind of want to hear from the Zoners as well as Voldy here on this. So, as these days have gone on, Voldy, kind of what's your leaning right now? Are you thinking KD, you know, there's still a legitimate shot? I mean, what percentage? Let's do percentages. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
What percentage would you put the Wolves getting Kevin Durant, and what percentage would you give the Wolves probably not getting Kevin Durant? What do you got?
Well, I look at a situation not so much as the Wolves getting and not getting him. I look at it at the great percentage of the Wolves' chances of getting him versus the other team. So if we're talking a full 100% out of the grand scheme of all the teams in the mix, and pun intended on this one, I'm going to put the Timberwolves at a 35% chance to get Kevin Durant. Now, opposed to everybody else, they're going to be on their way down. You put, the Heat are in the mix. I think, like I said, even with the Spurs, they were throwing a hard pitch towards them. But 35% for the Timberwolves, I mean, you could even put it that way, 35% to get him, 65% to not get him for the Timberwolves. I kind of see it in that direction. But like when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, I think for this ownership group and for the Timberwolves to be taken seriously, this needs to happen one way or another. Sometimes you got to bite a bullet in order to, to make a big splash. And this is definitely one that you can look at to be a huge splash for the Timberwolves if they decide that Kevin Durant is that final missing piece for them to get over the hump of the Western Conference.
There's a lot of feelings that I have about this. Have they changed? Somewhat. I still think I would want Kevin Durant on this team. But what troubles me is the fact that they have said specifically that it's not on his list of teams. Shams or whatever you want to call it. Shams has said it. Then you got our local media like Johnny Athletic talking about it, saying they're still in talks and whatnot. And I mean, there's just a lot of angles that this is going. But the main thing is that it seems like Durant is saying, I don't want to go to Minnesota. Well,
come on.
But here's the thing. He is not in control here. Who's in control is the Suns front office. That is who is in charge here of what they want to do. I don't think that them and KD's side are thinking this is we're going to find a team for you just to, help you. No, we're going to make a decision based on what we can get in return. And from what I've been hearing and what a lot of local guys have said, and I think Darren Wolfson, don't quote me, but they're still involved. But the best offer that the Suns have gotten has been from the Timberwolves. Now, I want to add another thing. The offer that was kind of been floating around, and it's been around for a while, has been Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert, and Rob Dillingham or Terrence Shannon. I would want us to keep Terrence Shannon. I think he's very good. and then the 17th pick in the NBA draft here next week. That actually is not true, which is interesting because they said that offer wasn't even on the table. But what's interesting is that the offer that the Wolves gave the Suns is still in play, which means it could happen. Now, another factor into this, Voldy and Zoners, is that it depends on how KD's feeling. There was a similar situation in 2019. Kawhi Leonard wanted to be traded to some LA team, right?
Right.
And he was not traded to that. He went to Toronto.
He did.
Now, what happened?
Somehow.
Yep. And you just, that's perfect. He goes, wins a title. And then he leaves, which is weird in itself, but anyway. they
we
won
talk
a title.
about how completely random that was in 2019?
Yeah.
Let's pick one of the most. Let's pick an NBA franchise. Who's going to win a title this year? Toronto. Nailed it. Like, what?
That's impossible.
Just
It's
completely
impossible.
random. You get Kawhi. I mean, you look back on that team has completely fallen apart since they won a title. And it's been, 6 years, I guess. But it's completely insane. Just the true essence of a one-hit wonder.
Yes. And what's interesting is Kyle Lowry was on that team. He was very prominent at the time. The Wolves have had, there's been conversations of the Wolves trying to get him at that point in time. Not right now, not saying right now or anything like that. But then you had Fred VanVleet, who was just awesome at that whole run as well. So
Siakam.
I'm not saying Siakam. Yes, that's a damn good
You
one.
had a
too.
revitalization of Jeremy Lin.
That's right. Jeremy
Insanity,
Lin.
baby. Hey,
Oh, my
NBA
God.
champion Lin Sanity.
That's right.
Put some
That's right.
respect on his name. Out of Harvard, baby.
Bring him back. Bring him back. But I'm not saying, and this is to say too, I'm not saying that this is going to be that kind of thing where it's like the Wolves are going to win the title. It depends on, and Lucas brought this up too, and I'm glad he did because Katie, he's never happy. And whenever this situations like this arise, because it kind of happened when he left OKC, is that they were under the impression that he was going to resign, they were going to add some pieces and whatnot, but then the Warriors came in, swooped in, and just, took over. They wanted to visit Katie in the Hamptons, and they left the second time knowing that he ain't coming back. So, I'm a little concerned now, I will say. I am a little concerned. And if he doesn't want to be traded here, then don't get him. Don't keep pressing it. I think.
Right.
I think if he doesn't want to be here, and if he's going to cause a problem, if he's going to cause problems, then we don't want him here. But if he, and it depends on, we're not in these talks, and it depends on how Conley and that, front office is feeling about this. And they have to kind of sit down and say, listen, we are getting you to win a ship. And this is what we have to give up in return. I know Minnesota, it's cold. It's, it's not LA. It's not, it's not Phoenix where it's hot and nice and you have all these good players. But you have a guy in Anthony Edwards that has gone to bat for you multiple times and said that he's my favorite player. They came so close to bringing him to Minnesota, and he said he wasn't opposed to the idea when they were trying to get him at the deadline. So I don't know how that could change. I think if they add Kevin Durant, depending on who they give up and whatnot, I mean, this is the championship window. This is only going to help Ant, but KD has to be all in. There's no, oh, well, I'm just here so I can find the right deal and whatnot. I know he doesn't want to play second fiddle to anybody and everything like that, but why can't we have a 1A and 1B? Not saying that you're behind Anthony Edwards, but as an equal. See, Stephon Diggs didn't understand that when him and Thielen were together. I know I'm comparing NFL to NBA, but it doesn't mean that you're not the guy. It's like, oh, I want to be the guy. Let go of your ego for a second and think about this. You and Anthony Edwards and the depth that you have with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking NBA Finals. They're contenders already. So I that's kind of how I look at it. But if he's not all in, bye.
Yeah,
see ya.
seriously.
To be honest with you. And it's just frustrating. I just don't get why. I mean, the Rockets, even if he gets traded to the Rockets, they're not going to go anywhere. They got to go through OKC as well. They got to go through, the Lakers are getting a little bit better as well. The Mavs are going to get they're going to get good as well. I mean, the Western Conference is a slog, and you got the Nuggets as well. So this is a very important decision for the Wolves. If he's not all in, I say just cut it off. Just be done with it and just say good luck to you. And, San Antonio still needs some pieces. I mean, Wemby is a great player, but I just don't think. I really don't think he wants to sit there for 2-3 years until they finally have a team worth going after. So
they got the number 1 pick, so hey, we'll see what
they
happens
do.
with that.
Yeah, so maybe it will happen a little bit quicker than we think. But just to throw this in there, whatever happens, if they get KD, I want him all in. If he is not all in, see ya. So I could be up for absurd statement, and I'll admit it. I said that they're going to get him, and there's still a chance. I thought there was no chance at one point when they said, they're out of it now. So I was like, well. So we'll see what happens. But we'll keep up to date on everything that's going on. We'll keep you on the socials medias. And if the Wolves end up with the Slim Reaper. So that'll be fun to figure out and see if he will be a Timberwolf. I will probably be getting a jersey if he comes here. So, all right. Voldy, let's take a look at these Minnesota Wild. Now, you kind of highlighted some things for Virtues last week. Goaltending was a big one. We had a clip posted last night about your thoughts on that, which is doing very well. It's almost up to 500 views on YouTube, so that's very good as well. So let's go. And then we talked about the center position. Now, this is kind of more center focused with the Wild. So I have this prodded up, and I think there's been a lot of names that have been brought up. Brock Nelson was one of those guys, but he ended up signing with Colorado. I don't know if that seems a little gone for one.
He signed? Because I know he got traded there. Did he actually sign there?
I think so. From what I tell this article, it says then he signed with Colorado Avalanche. So maybe we can look that up too.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah. So let's start with the number 1 target that this article has. So shout out to minnesotasportsfan.com for this, but it says John Tavares. He's 34 years old, and it says that would immediately give the Wild what they're looking for at center position. That is, if he isn't slapped by Father Time, which is obviously a factor here, which wasn't the case last season. With the Leafs, he had 38 goals, which is awesome. That's what you kind of want, and he put 47 pucks. Or wait. When he potted 38 goals, he scored. Okay, so it's second behind, because in 2018, 2019 he had 47. Voldy, do you think this is a good idea for the Wild to go after Tavares here? What do you think?
We look at how the career of Tavares has really turned out from his time where he entered the league with the Islanders. Then he goes to Toronto to really be the big dog. And he's kind of fallen back to the wayside with the emergence of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner as well, William Nylander on top of it, but still quite productive. I mean, he is definitely still a top 6 forward, even when he was on that team, played a little bit of third line, but you put him in another situation. I think Toronto is kind of in a tough spot with him, whether they want to re-sign him for that veteran experience in that locker room, or maybe it's time to start pumping in some new blood. I personally wouldn't mind seeing John Tavares bringing that veteran experience to a Wild team that does need a little bit more of that veteran presence in the lineup when you still have these young guys like Marco Rossi, you've got, of course, Kirill, and also Matt Boldy, just shoring things up there from a perspective of, production, I would say, definitely looks a lot better than, say, like a Matt Zuccarello for sure. I could definitely make the case for that to fit for sure.
So we got a thumbs up on Tavares. Yep. Voldy, there's one other thing from this article that I found interesting. In 75 games last year, he totaled 74 points. Mm-hmm. His goals and points would have led the Wild, who were led by Matt Boldy's 27 goals and 73 points. So I think this is a very good fit if I'm Minnesota Wild. So Billy G, let's get cooking there. So Tavares is a thumbs up. Let's move on to our next one. Oh, a guy that I've known for a while now too. Dallas Stars center Matt Duchene. Yes, good old Matt Duchene, 34 years old as well. He would fit the bill, though. The Wild don't appear to be very interested in him, but he's a fast. Well, maybe he's lost a step or two or a skate or two. I don't know. That was a bad joke. He played all 82 games. He scored 30 goals and assisting on 52. Voldy, 16 years. Wow, that's impressive. He's been around for a while now. Voldy, do you think this is a good fit or not a good fit for the Wild?
I see Matt Duchene when he came into the league with Colorado. I mean, he was a young pup full of piss and vinegar, and he was a Wild killer for sure. Now you look at how his career's really panned out. I mean, a lot of teams kind of wrote him off, and he's just kind of been, hanging around enough. Still quite productive. I mean, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with the Stars in their playoff push, and ultimately the last couple of years to make it to the Western Conference Finals. In fact, 3 straight years they've made the Western Conference Finals with or without Duchene in the lineup or even on the team to begin with. Something about Matt Duchene just kind of rubs me the wrong way. No, I don't think it's a good fit, but I've seen weirder acquisitions and signings, but I definitely wouldn't. I'm not a fan of it for sure.
So thumbs down on Matt Duchene. If the Wild ended up signing him, Voldy, would you just kind of be more uneasy with it, or would you say this is an awful idea? Why are they doing this?
It really all depends on which Matt Duchene are you going to get. Are you going to get the one that got written off in Nashville and got bought out of contracts and just happy to be on the Dallas Stars? Or are you going to get the guy that's purely motivated and kind of willed and pushed the Dallas Stars to ultimately some playoff pushes and, some really good streaks in the postseason, in the Stanley Cup playoffs? It just all depends on what he's got left to offer. And I think now at this point, it's getting a little bit harder to justify signing a guy that could very well be more bust than boom with his playing ability.
So yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to. But I always feel like whenever there are players that, either the Vikings, the Twins, the Wolves, the Wild have faced, there's always a killer that it comes through. Think about Jim Thome. Jim Thome was just destroy the Twins every time he was with Cleveland. Comes to the Twins, he's an absolute destroyer. Not many did that when the Wild or the Twins or the Vikings. Well, granted, I think Aaron Jones did quite a good job against Green Bay. But I think I don't know. I'm kind of with you. It seems like this is kind of I don't know if he fits the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if he really fits what they want to do. So, thumbs down on Duchene. All right, so the third target that we have is a familiar name. That's for sure to a lot of Minnesota Wild fans. Jonathantoews, or for people that don't watch hockey, jonathantoews, if people are so inclined. No, Jonathantoews is a guy that maybe they can kind of look at and say, this might be a good little pickup. I know he's had some... He has a chronic immune response syndrome that he's trying to, get right and whatnot. But it sounds like he's planning to come back. He's 37 years old. So let's just say, Voldy, that they strike out on Tavares, they strike out on Duchene. Mm-hmm. Would you bring in? I think he's a wild killer too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that this would be a good idea for the Wild to be like, all right, we believe he can come back better than ever? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. It's tough to say. Taves, I should say, has been battling, obviously, the sickness, but ultimately the ill effects of, you throw in the combination of that and long COVID effects too, with even concussions thrown in the mix. Just haven't seen anything from him. I had to convince myself that he wasn't even retired because of the fact he hasn't played really since COVID, and that's 5 years ago. He's 37, hasn't played professionally in that span as well. I can't even tell you the last time he played a professional game, let alone a meaningful game or even skating from that point. 5 years does a lot of things to the body. I would think it would probably shore up a few things. He's probably very well rested at this point. But how is that health going to translate to his ability on the ice? I think we are long since the days of his high-scoring ability, and obviously he was captain of the Chicago Blackhawks for their 3 Stanley Cups and their runs that they had in the the mid-2010s, and how that really revitalized that franchise into a serious contender post-Kane, post-Taves, and that whole run that they had. I just don't know if the Wild really want to invest in a guy that you don't know really has his heart set in it. Obviously, he is trying to plan a comeback. It's been quite amount of time that he has been. I mean, he's from the Winnipeg area as well. Could very well be the closest stop he's going to get, barring signing with the Winnipeg Jets. I would seriously hope that he would consider Minnesota because of the fact of the connection that he has as well with the University of North Dakota. You get a lot of Fighting Sioux fans that are Wild fans because of Minnesota and that closeness as well. You're in a perfect spot between Chicago and Winnipeg, your hometown, right there in Minnesota. It has to be a low risk situation for the Wild. You can't invest a lot of money into a guy that hasn't played in 5+ years, or at least now nearing that 5-year mark, or at least I feel. I can't even remember the last time he played professionally or even in the NHL, but it has to be within that 5-year span. I would say You throw him a contract, maybe a PTO, a paid tryout, and see if it works out well. But it has to be a very low risk situation for the Wild because they can't really afford much more. I mean, sure, they've got a lot of money coming off the books here for them that they can go out and get some of these guys. But do you really want to pay a lot of money to a 37-year-old who hasn't played in 5 years? If we're going to do that, then I'll throw my hat into the ring there to skate for the Wild.
I mean, it's not a. Who knows? I mean, there's another name here. So a bonus one for you, Voldy.
Right.
Another old friend of the Minnesota Wild, and I actually a guy that I've always liked, Mikael Granlund. Yes, Mikael Granlund. Voldy, good idea, bad idea to bring our guy back. What do you think?
I say bring him back. Give him one last run in the sunshine.
Yeah.
He had a hell of a run with Dallas here in the postseason. It was great to see the Mikael Granlund of old. I would love to see number 64 back once again for the Wild and just do what, bring back the good old days of him coming up, of course, with the Wild here. Some great moments he had in the playoffs for the Wild too. I say yes, bring him back just for old time's sake. Be a really nice piece there down on that third, maybe even fourth line. He can mix it up a little bit on the second power play unit, maybe a little bit of penalty kill. But he's definitely changed a lot since his days when he last suited up for the Wild. I would definitely not hate seeing Mikhail Granlund back with the Wild again.
Bro, I've been here the whole time.
That's kind of, yeah, he's been here the whole time almost. But yeah, he was a great hard worker. I think I'd be game for that. I still think they need to keep adding as well. It can't just be this guy and that's it. No, it's got to be this guy and some others as well. So that's what I got. All right, bonus question.
Okay.
I think I don't know if we did talk about this. Marco Rossi. Mm-hmm. In the event that the Wild decide, you know what, we need to find someone other than him, do you think he will be traded here this offseason? What do you think?
I definitely would not put it past the Wild to make an offer for Marco Rossi. I feel like you could definitely get a lot of good in return. You could definitely get a top six forward, I believe, for him, because we've seen in the past the Wild have done a lot of things wheeling and dealing with some of their top prospects for sure. Rossi does have that playmaking ability that he has seen in his short stint with the Wild, and he has been a guy to put the team on his back, and he's scored a lot of goals in the absence of Kirill. He could definitely fetch a nice return on the trade market. I think they're definitely going to put something out there, but it's definitely going to be, I would say, probably a top six forward and maybe even top six defensemen on top of it. Maybe even a couple of pick swaps as well. We got the NHL draft coming up soon as well. See what they want to do here and moving some bodies and maybe moving some picks for Bill Guerin, because this is a very interesting offseason for the Wild. They definitely need to make some moves and make some splashes. They want to keep pace in the very crowded Western Conference.
Yes, it is very it's very crowded in the Western Conference for sure. And if you want to keep up with the back-to-back champs, those Florida Panthers who won last night, 5-1. Yes, I know Voldius is a very.
I turned the game off after 3-0. I turned it off after 3-0.
Yeah, fair.
I wish I would have been able to stay up to watch the cup being handed off and everything. So I love seeing that every year, regardless of who wins.
Yeah,
I just love seeing the captain handed off to the next guy who's probably the oldest guy on the team, hasn't won a cup. Or, they go through all the captains and then all right, who's going to be the first non-major star to carry it? And it's, just
right.
Boom. Like last year it was Calaposo from Minnesota, former Golden Gopher, a former Sioux Falls Stampeder, I believe, as well from his younger days. But, he went all those bad years in Buffalo, and then ultimately with the Islanders being captain on both those squads there, and then he gets a Stanley Cup, and then ultimately rides off into the sunset there. So that's great to see that. So I enjoyed that part, but I couldn't bear to watch it. Couldn't bear to see the end.
Yeah, I just like we said, obviously you have your feelings towards those damn Florida Panthers and whatnot, and but hey, they won and we picked them to win as well.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Unfortunately.
Come on, Pacers. Come on, Pacers.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of that, Voldy, this has been a very, I would say controversial. NBA playoffs. Now, I feel like the A topic and or probably a top 5 topic in the NBA here during these playoffs has been foul baiting, obviously towards SGA. Shaigilgeousalexander. Yes, I just said the full name just because that would probably be the last time I say it, just so we could keep it short with SGA. Now, I think that a couple things need to be addressed here, and it's not necessarily that it's fully on SGA. It's more with the NBA. in general. So I was reading an article last night, and I thought this would be perfect for School of Logic, about how, and honestly, the headline of this article, which is well written by Sam Quinn, shout out to him, he says the real problem with shaigilgeousalexander's foul baiting is that it works. And yes, I said the full name just because I want to make sure we got the headline right. And he's right. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. I'll quote some of what he said as well, which I think is very good. So without further ado, Voldy zoners, get your pens and everything. It's time for Callahan School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
All right, yes, you are enrolled in Callahan School of Logic, the only Callahan left teaching as well, by the way. Shout out to Bob Callahan on his retirement. Just wanted to throw that out there. So get those pens, pencils, paper, whatever you need to write. Yes, stop the flop, as you can see here for Callahan School of Logic. This, I feel, has gone on long enough. And this situation has completely gone from, you know, we'll implement this flopping rule, you get a technical if you flop and things like that. And the NBA lacks enforcing it. They don't want to enforce it. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. But the one thing that I feel like the NBA has really hasn't done well with is that they're making the game. A lot of these players are soft, and again, no disrespect, I still think these guys are very talented in what they do and their shots and whatnot. But a lot of those players being SGA, LeBron James Harden, even, back when he was very prominent, he's still relatively good. Jalenbrunson as well. I would even put Joel Embiid because he's also a name that has been known to foul bait as well. But I want to talk about the whole SGA thing. It is frustrating as hell. And there's a lot of players feel the same way. A lot of players are looking at this and something's got to change, okay? And I'm not necessarily blaming SGA for this instance, but this brand of basketball is boring. It's boring. You have a guy that is initiating the contact, and then throwing the ball up in a way where it looks like the defender nails him, right? Now, I don't necessarily think that the NBA has done a good job of enforcing this whole, flopping instance. And it's just like, well, some guys get special calls, and they haven't openly said that, but let's be honest, they do that. These referees are definitely doing that. Now, it's one quote in this article, Voldy and Zoners, that I find interesting is that, this is kind of a credit to SGA in this sense. His job is to help the Oklahoma City Thunder win basketball games, and he does that job extraordinarily well. It is not his job to be ethical or entertaining. It is, however, the NBA's job to create an environment in which he is incentivized to do so. That's the problem here. It's not Gilgeous-Alexander's. It's not that he's foul baiting, but that it's working. Now, it is a credit to SGA that he is finding ways to, frustrate the defense, frustrate your opponent and whatnot. And I get that. He's finding those loopholes in order to, get to the free throw line, a.k.a. free throw merchant. Now, they're not going to do an in-season type of thing. I mean, this series is pretty much over, if you think about it at this point. But that could change. Who knows what'll happen? But I think this upcoming year, this has to be addressed in order to help people bring viewers to the game. Because Voldy, I think I read something that the WNBA their ratings have been down since Caitlin Clark's been gone, right? And it has been down since last year. And the NBA's ratings were bad as well. I mean, this is like the least watched finals, I feel like, in years. And it proves that. And I think the foul baiting contributes a little to that. So I look at it from this perspective. If people keep talking about it, they're eventually going to have to make a move and fix this. Now, let's go back a couple of years here real quick, Voldy and Zoners. James Harden, Trae Young. The league pretty much took, steps to de-incentivize their less ethical habits before the 2021-2022 season. The NBA announced an interpretive change in officiating of overt, abrupt, or abnormal non-basketball moves by offensive players with the ball in an effort to draw fouls. Now, I look at this and I think, aren't they being hypocritical with this? Aren't they? I think they are, because you're seeing all these calls SGA's getting. The guy literally tripped over his own feet and he got a call. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, the NBA has to take accountability in this sense. I don't understand why that he's getting all these calls, but Ant's literally getting attacked at the basket and not getting those calls. Now, the reason why I think he's not getting those calls is because he calls them out on it. And they don't want to be called out on it, because, what happens is that they're not going to give you the call the next time. SGA doesn't necessarily complain about it or anything like that, but, he might make a gesture over and look at the ref and say, oh, where was that? You know what I mean? And it doesn't make sense to me how that he is able to get away with it, but 95% of these guys don't get these calls. And that's including Ant. But it's not just SGA, it's LeBron. LeBron does it all the time. LaFlop, as people would say. Brunson definitely does it a lot as well. And Luka. Luka's a big proponent of that. He is a guy that is going to try to do everything in his power to get fouled, put his shoulder into you, and then fade back. And before the 2023-24 season, they introduced a technical foul for flopping on a one-year trial basis. Now, I know that they elected to make it permanent, but they haven't enforced it at all. Zero. Zilch. Nada. So, the logic in all of this here, Zoners and NBA fans and Voldy, is that it comes down to the NBA. Now, you can get mad at SGA as much as you want. You can get mad at Brunson, you can get mad at LeBron, and all these other guys that are getting these types of calls. But the logic in all this, it comes down to the NBA. And the more that people talk about it, the more that people complain about it, I think the NBA is looking at those viewership ratings and saying, what's going on here? It's because of, and it's not all because of that, but it's a piece of that. Because they're seeing how basketball is being played, and these guys are getting away with literally tapping somebody when someone's playing good defense. They're not reaching, they're not using their body to get into, force them back or anything like that. It's the offensive guys like SGA that'll put his shoulder in and then fade back like he's getting hit. But he does such a good job of it that it's hard to, go against that. Now, I said this before, but if this was back in the day, he would not survive. He would get beaten to hell. And, nowadays he's found a way to get to the line and, be awarded those free throws and shots as well. So the logic in this is that let's not get mad at the guys that are doing this whole thing. Get mad at the NBA for not fully enforcing this whole flopping free throw merchant situation. That's how I look at it. But there was a lot of flopping on I think it was game 4 that SGA got away with. He got away with the travel too. I mean, he walked like 5-10 steps. I mean, it was just egregious in the sense of that. So, I look at it as don't blame SGA, don't blame these players, blame the NBA for not enforcing it, and blame those refs because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. They have been bad for the whole playoffs. I mean, this isn't just, they're all against the Wolves and everything. It's been like that for all teams. I mean, they've been bad for all of those teams. So it's a collective effort with that. And if the NBA doesn't address it, you're going to have more and more people not watching it and more people upset. So logic in all this, get mad at the NBA, not the players. They've just found loopholes. And, they're just exposing what the NBA is not enforced. So it's on Adam Silver to figure this out. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with it? Hashtag stop the flop?
1,000% yes. I mean, we are at a point now, of course, with how the league is ran and just some of these star players, all they can really do now is flop and be vying for these chances at the free throw line. Now, whether they actually convert on those is up to them. But we've seen, of course, with the success that SGA has had this season, of course, from the free throw line, now leading to an MVP and quite possibly just one game closer towards an NBA championship. That certainly does put the league in a very interesting situation. Of course, they're probably just trying to let, the officials, especially this postseason, are letting the teams play a little bit more as opposed to, going out there and kind of enforcing their will of how the game is going to pan out, how they're going to play and everything. And how they're going to start making calls. That has been the exact opposite of how the playoffs have really turned out. They're letting the teams play and let the physical play ramp up, but now they're starting to get to a point where maybe some of these calls are being made up for, as opposed from the start of the playoffs to now. It's all starting to come to a head, and unfortunately is at the absolute wrong time, especially with OKC now just one game closer towards capturing a champion.
You put it perfectly there. And the next thing that I want to add, at the end of this article, I think he puts this into perspective here, so credit to him. He says, fouls exist to keep defenses in check, not to give offensive players a weapon to use for bailouts and disadvantage his positions. It is not any individual player's job to look for that balance. It's the league's. Don't hate the player, hate the game, that type of whole thing. So I think he kind of puts a bow on this to say this isn't the players. They figured out how to beat the system. Now the NBA has to try and figure out a way to be like, we got to stop this. Because I will say, SGA's point percentage, he's averaging 32 points per game this season. And the thing is I think that would take a dip if it were if they made those calls, especially against the Wolves and whatnot. And guess what? He's able to get teams frustrated. Ant throwing the ball at him. Jaden McDaniels pushing him to the ground. I wish he shoved him harder. But if you want to send a message. But it's just gotten soft, man. It really has. And they're letting him get away with it. It's like, we'll gift you a foul if you just brush his shoulder. It's stupid. It's dumb. I mean, Kobe, did Kobe foul bait? Maybe a little bit. Maybe Jordan did a little bit. But, again, these guys were getting rocked at the rim. I mean, they had to fight their way. And as the Jordan rules, you all get it with the bad boy Pistons, he had to get stronger and better in order to beat that. And SGA is just getting away with a little brush of the shoulder or the arm. So, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it, guys. I mean, let us know what you guys think if you are for hashtag stop the flop. And again, it's not just him. There's other players that are doing this as well. But it comes down to the NBA. So let us know what you guys think, and we'll be willing to hear you out and see what side you're on with that. So, All right, Voldy, ARA is pretty stacked tonight. Our first one tonight will be the Sox with the big trade to the Giants. Voldy shaking his head. Not good. Not good, Bob.
Not good.
Shoheiohtani is back, and he's on the mound. We'll give some thoughts on that. And then the Cincinnati Bengals and Treyhendrickson, they're talking again. They're maybe working out a deal. I don't know how they're going to do it, especially with the salary cap and them paying all that money to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but we'll talk about that. Lyles, Noah Lyles and Tyreekhill, their race is canceled, unfortunately. But we'll give some thoughts on that as well. And then to round things up, the big trade in the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic make a swap. Desmondbane going to Orlando, and more details on that trade coming up, and we'll talk about it. So, without further ado, let's get some observed or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start in the world of Major League Baseball in a very surprising trade that occurred about half an hour before the nightcap of the Sunday baseball slate, which included the Dodgers against the San Francisco Giants. The Giants decided to go out and make a move as they acquired three-time All-Star Rafaeldevers from the Boston Red Sox as they are sending towards Boston left-handed starter Kyle Harrison, who was slated to start on Sunday, right-handed pitcher Jordan Hicks, outfield prospect James Tibbs III, and rookie league right-hander Jose Bello. Of course, a 5-player overall swap, and now 4 players going to Boston, while the Giants will take Rafaeldevers and will cover the rest of his contract, which was a 10-year contract signed a couple years ago, but now running through 2033, $250 million owed to Devers over the length of his contract. Of course, the season has been very interesting for Rafaeldevers and the Boston Red Sox, with, of course, the start of the season being a sluggish start to Devers, who started off, I believe, at one point 0 for 16 with 13 strikeouts or something outlandish along those lines. And, of course, the struggles that he had of finding his position on the field, or lack thereof being on the field, with the signing of Alex Bregman to play primarily third base. Now Devers was taken off the field. Then he was asked to play first base. He said, "No, I'm a first baseman. I'm a third baseman. You told me to put the glove away. I'm going to keep the glove away." At that point, now with the trade taking place, and of course now other words have been thrown out with Devers throwing into the fact that he said, "Hey, I'll play anywhere. That's why they pay me, and that's why they're in charge. I'll play anywhere you need me." That being San Francisco, he's saying that too. But is it absurd or approved from the standpoint of the Boston Red Sox? Are the Red Sox better off without Devers, given the history that they've had at least to start the 2025 season?
Well, I think it's interesting because when they believed in him with the 10-year, $313.5 million contract extension in January of 2023. I mean, that obviously they thought, face of the franchise and whatnot. But then it just turned and it got sour. And it got sour really quick between the Red Sox and him. Now, it's one thing to, make all these moves and whatnot. And I know you weren't a big fan of the Mookie Betts trade over to L.A. Dodgers. And honestly, that ended with a World Series title, him holding up a World Series. Now, it seems like, him being part of that 2018 team winning the World Series, Devers, was very good. And it seems like he built that trust with Boston for a while. Now, it got bad really quick, and they thought one thing and he thought another thing, and it did not turn out well as from spring training on. So you want to think that they can get better from this, but when you give up a guy that's literally been with your franchise since 2013, starting in the minor leagues and then working your way up and then getting that extension, just kind of shows you that, if you and your star player don't get along, this is what happens. This is what will happen. You get traded and you go to San Fran, which, again, San Fran's, a place that is that a lot of players have gone to and had success. So I think that the Red Sox should have made more of an effort in their dealings in order to try and keep him around, because you paid him like a king. Now you don't have him anymore. So I would say, I'd say absurd. I think they're going to regret getting rid of him. And if they keep fracturing relationships with players, it doesn't look good for Boston. And the fans will let you know, too, if you make another bad deal and, things like that. So, yeah, I think this will come back to bite them, unfortunately. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Since that 2018 World Series championship, the entire starting lineup from that team is either traded or has left for free agency or has straight up just retired. And we're 7 years removed from that. Mookie's gone. I mean, I literally saw a list the other day, yesterday I think it was, of the entire starting lineup from that World Championship team, and everybody's gone. There's nobody left. And I really hope this isn't the case for Mookie 2.0 in this situation, to where, Ralphie takes over and has an MVP type season, or seasons to come for that point with the Giants. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did, getting a fresh start and moving on. And just the way the Red Sox have really deteriorated in the last handful of years is really spoken to, not only from the ownership perspective, but just the chance that they've had with some of these young guys coming up, and to try to get with established veterans that have been through the system as a whole, is not looking good for the future. Tristan Casas, blowing out his knee again in May, certainly does not help for them. I don't know if he's going to be a factor going ahead. We've lost out on some bigger prospects for them. They've called up Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony. They've done fairly well to at least start off their first few weeks in the major leagues. But as soon as pitchers start figuring out how to get them out, it could be a tough sled for them. And now we're just on a path right now where the pitching is going to have to pick things up for the Red Sox. Now, getting back to the point as a whole, are the Red Sox going to be better off? I say no. I think that they're going to be in a very tough position, to where I think the fans are going to start turning on the ownership, and something needs to happen unless they find a way to really light things up. And Bregman's is supposed to be on the mend here, could be getting back with the team here sometime in the near future. But of course, all the big free agent signings that have come in the past have not really bore very well fruit for the Red Sox. And this is just another one that could come back to haunt them for sure. Are they going to be better off? No, I think it's completely absurd. They are going to be hurt after this one.
Which is sad. I mean, it's
Yep.
It went from, oh, good, we signed him with that extension, to, we'll hit the dusty trail, buddy. Which is,
at least the
know.
money's off the books now, I guess. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can throw
that-
it that
you know,
way too.
that's a good point.
$250 million gone over the next 8 years. All right, I'll take that.
So there's some positive with that. But
Yep.
I don't know. Well, who knows? I mean, that's kind of, it's very similar to Mookie's situation, would you say, Foldy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. I just really hate the fact that the Red Sox, looking back at that trade, basically gave him up for nothing. It was that three-team trade.
Yeah,
The Twins were involved somehow in
yeah,
that trade, and yet the Dodgers got all the good stuff out of it. And I'm just like, what the actual hell happened? Because I believe Alex Verdugo was in on that trade as well. Well, he's about 3 teams later from that trade, and just trying to find a way to stay in the league and stay relevant beyond the point of of that big trade that happened too. And it's just nobody really won except for the Dodgers. Dodgers got all the good pieces. They got Brusdar, Gratterall, and they got Mookie Betts out of it.
You see, and this is why we rip on the Twins, is because they literally get the scraps. It's like getting the scraps. The Twins are like raccoons. They get the scraps, in the trash can and whatnot, and give away the store per se. With Gratterall. Because Gratterall was like, yeah, exactly. Oh my god! But it makes sense.
That's what the poll ads are. They're the raccoons of Major League Baseball.
They grab their money, they hide it in their whatever where they live, and just say,
when someone turns the lights on, they.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Run.
Better believe it. All right. Well, we're sticking with the MLB, Vilde.
Well, of course, we stick with Major League Baseball, and what was basically a pitching rehab assignment, but happened to be at the Major League level, Shoheiohtani found his way back to a pitching mound and started off in an inning against the San Diego Padres, and what was a very nice return for the, of course, 50-50 hitter, and of course the most valuable player in that regard after last season. Now finally getting a start here on the pitching mound. Of course, normally in circumstances where a pitcher comes back after major reconstructive surgery of Tommy John, usually send him down to the minor leagues to get a little bit of work done, and slowly but surely 5 or 6 starts. But when you're Shoheiohtani, you're pitching. Your rehab assignments are going to most likely be on the major league level. Of course, he opened the game on Tuesday night against the San Diego Padres. And you know what? The stuff was stuffing, if you will, from Shohei. It definitely got fastballs up around the triple-digit mark, where he was clocked at 100.2 miles per hour on his 10th pitch of the night, and his 17th pitch came in at 99.9. Of course, the breaking ball was definitely working in that area too, but as the season has come along here, or will be coming along, with Shohei getting more comfortable with being on the mound and also him in the lineup as a hitter, is it absurd or approved? Will Ohtani be a major factor? Absurd or approved, Ohtani will be a major factor for the Dodgers in the rotation for the rest of the season.
I would say so, yes. Just putting the stamp of approval right away. And the reason why I do say that, Voldy, is because, this guy has clearly shown that he can do both. And what I mean by that is obviously hit and, pitch at the same time. Look, you can never, the thing is, you can never have enough pitching. And the Dodgers are stacked. I mean, they'll go out and get anybody. They're a team that's willing to go the extra mile to pay for players and whatnot. And they have that with their staff. Their starting pitching solid. Ohtani added to that mix just makes it even better, and he had the good outing like you just mentioned. That's why it's tough to compete against a team like the Dodgers, because they're stacked all around. I mean, Mookie obviously is around there, and then what was that guy's name that was a Brave, and then he went to the Dodgers. I forget his Freeman, right?
Freddie Freeman.
Yep. Freddie Freeman, thank you. And, they're just, Kershaw and everything, they're stacked, man. And it's adding Ohtani to this team is just, it's just unfair. It's unfair, man. So, yeah, I'll give it my stamp of approval. I think he will be a factor for the Dodgers here throughout the rest of the season. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I think just as he gets more comfortable on the mound, he's definitely going to get more and more stronger. That's going to be the scary part for him and his play as a whole for the team. And I think with how the Dodgers are really shaping up, because they've put a lot of bodies on the injured reserve and the IL for that when it comes to their rotation. So they certainly need all the help that they can get. Even with the names that they have on their squad and with the rotation that they do have, they could use all the help that they get. But even with the 5-6 starts of maybe slowly but surely building up his repertoire and of course getting his innings up in that, maybe we'll see in 5 days, 5+ days of him maybe going 2 innings, or maybe he'll throw 30+ pitches and something along that. But I think this will definitely be a factor, of course, with the season moving along. Does he start in the playoffs as a starter? Who knows? Maybe he'll be a middle inning and come in relief. We saw him close out the World Baseball Classic a couple of years ago and how that turned out to be an iconic moment for Team Japan. I could see that happening, being a late inning guy, of course, for the season ahead before going back to the starting rotation. Or he could very well by September, October, putting up 7+ innings and being back to the Shohei that he was before the arm injury. I think it's definitely going to be a major factor as the season comes along here for the Dodgers for sure. So it's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, just getting back, especially, after being out for so long with not being able to pitch. There's probably going to be some growing pains, but there's plenty of season left. So, that can turn around and he can be back to form really quick. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, the tumultuous relationship between the Cincinnati Bengals and signing their defensive linemen to contracts has taken another turn, of course, with the on and off again relationship between Treyhendrickson, the sack king, and the Bengals was on, then it was off, then it was firmly off, but now apparently things are starting to open back up again, as according to multiple sources, of course, earlier this week, that communication has resumed between the two sides of Treyhendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off, of course, an all-pro season where he did lead the league in sacks at 17.5, but of course, the numbers that have come along with it still seem to be quite far apart, with the likes of Hendrickson wanting a long-term extension, but the Bengals don't seem to be quite in favor of such movement in that area. Of course, this also coming off the heels of the, salacious comments and, of course, the ongoing contract disputes between the Bengals and their first-round draft pick in Shamar Stewart, who has yet to sign a contract, was at minicamp, but then left even after the contract conversation of voided years and, of course, his money being taken away for certain instances that it could happen on the field as the season kind of comes along for the rookie. But with everything that has taken place here, now we're getting back to the main issue at hand with Treyhendrickson and the Bengals signing a long-term contract, or maybe lack thereof. Is it absurd or approved? Will there be a deal in place, and will that be reached by the time training camp comes rolling around here in the next 6 weeks?
Oh, man. What a roller coaster this has been. It's just like, we said this, like, they're going to get 2 of the 3. Yep. 1 of the 3 for sure. But 3 of the 3, it's just unlikely. Now it's like, now it's likely. I just don't get how they're getting all this money. I mean, especially when you have Burrow, he's got his contract and things like that. I mean, who else do you need to add to this defense? I mean, if you pay the man, and I think we said this last time, but to reiterate, if you pay this guy and you don't have enough cap left over to add some more defensive players, they were the worst defense in the league last year for a lot of the season. And it comes down to they got rid of Pratt. He goes to the Raiders. And, I mean, who do you have left? Logan Wilson's still with the team. He's all right. And if you bring back Hendrickson, I mean, are you going to trade for somebody? Are you going to give up? I mean, you're going to, at some point, have to give up pieces if you decide to re-sign him. And clearly, he wants to get paid. They're looking at a number specifically. They're not, or the Bengals aren't biting. But then also, like you said with Stewart, him leaving minicamp and whatnot. I mean, what is wrong with Cincinnati at this point? I mean, it's just like they're just like, we're not, willing to commit and, things like that. I mean, even with Jamar Chase's situation, even with T. Higgins' situation, they were just like, like, I don't know if we want to do this. I don't know. And then they finally do it, but it's just like, I get like these things are ongoing, but it's just this has been an absolute roller coaster at this point. But back to the original question, at this point I don't see it. I still don't see it. And the reason why I say that is because I just think that they want a specific number, and it doesn't seem like Hendrickson and his side are willing to budge, to go down. The Bengals are just kind of like, this is where we're at, or we're not going to move much from it. And I just think it just comes down to, if it's going to come to a number, and if they say no and everything like that, then they're moving on, they're trading him, whatever. But it's gotten to the point of, I don't think this is going to get solved before training camp. I think that it could during training camp, but I just, they need a lot of pieces, man. I mean, that defense was not good last year. Not good, Bob. So you can't always be scoring a shit ton of points and expecting your defense to, hold them to 21 or something like that if you're scoring 42. I mean, they give up. Yeah. You score 42 and then you give up 49 or something like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's absurd. I think they're still far away on it. Even though they're talking, that's a good sign. But I also look at this and think, I don't think they're going to budge. They want big money. He wants big money. Bengals are like, I don't know. So, yeah, absurd. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, this is all going to come down to which side is going to cave first, because we've looked at how basically the whole timeline, the conversations between Hendrickson and the Bengals fall apart. Bengals draft a first-round defensive lineman as Hendrickson's replacement. Oh, I'm not going to sign this contract because basically you want to take my money away if I basically perform on the field and maybe get a certain penalty that could void out certain years of my contract. And like that, I love the comment that Stewart threw out in saying that the Bengals are more worried about winning arguments than winning games, and basically Mike dropped his way out of the practice facility, because that's what the Bengals have really been about as of late. They're more concerned about being right as opposed to winning actual games, and that's why they have struggled these last few years post Super Bowl appearance and have not even come close to getting back to that same mark, even with the great pieces that they do have offensively. Defensively, completely different story for them on top of it. Now we're at a point here where it's going to be which side is going to cave first. Is it going to be Hendrickson to take less of a long-term deal, or is it going to be the Bengals say, all right, we'll do the long-term deal. What do you want? What's your number before the start of training camp? I think both sides are too strong-willed and stubborn to cave in. I could definitely see the first few training camp practices not go with Trey Hendrickson in the lineup. I think there will not be a deal in place come training camp for sure.
I think this is very similar, and I think this is, I would say similar. When the Vikings decided that they wanted Kirk Cousins, they thought it was the final piece. They were under the impression that the defense would be fine as well. Well, guess what? It got progressively worse, and a lot of that, like we have said, had to do with Zim and not being able to adapt and change things up, and then being at odds with Kirk. I mean, it was a whole mess. I think this is kind of what the Bengals are doing. They got to the Super Bowl. they had a big need at O-line because they got absolutely obliterated. I mean, it was a very good game, don't get me wrong, but they got obliterated by the Rams, their defensive line. And they fixed that, but the defense progressively kept getting worse each season. Burrow got hurt and everything like, okay, yeah, that happens. But the defense has not been good, and it's just each year it's been going down, 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 down. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's very similar. And they fired their D coordinator, who's supposed to be this guru as well. I forget. I think it's like Lou something or whatever. But
Lou Amarillo.
Thank you. So that's a lot to unpack there. I don't think they're getting a deal done either. There's no way at this point. But if they do, prove me wrong. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of competitive racing, or at least the conversations that have led from trash talk to actual possibility of races, all null and void, as Olympic 100-meter champion, that being gold medalist Noah Lyles, canceled the much-anticipated showdown with Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreekhill due to, quote, personal reasons. This has been a long-going feud between the two ever since Lyles did win the 100-meter gold for the U.S. in the Paris Summer Olympics last year, and Tyreek threw down the challenge for a 50-yard race in the consideration for, of course, Lyles and for Tyreek in that. And, of course, the trash talking has gone back and forth basically since the gold medal was put around the neck of Noah Lyles. They even win. Lyles won his fourth consecutive 60-meter indoor title back in February. He took off his race bib to show a message of, quote, Tyreek could never. Now, of course, with some of the races that have taken place and Tyreek getting a little bit of light work put in, if you will, by running in 100-meter prelims in, of course, Sherman Oaks, California. And he even put out a message saying Noah could never. Now we have a response with Noah Lyles canceling said race that was set to be much anticipated as it has come down to it. So, is this absurd or approved? With the cancellation of the race, is Noah Lyles ducking Tyreekhill?
Well, we've said our thoughts about Noah Lyles for a long time, and I just feel like he's a lot of talk. And I think a lot of this kind of had to do with, trying to troll a guy that is a very fast guy in Tyreekhill. Now, if there were personal reasons, then, it's something maybe none of us know about or whatnot. But to me, from knowing what he has done, and especially the way that he talks like he's the fastest guy on earth and all this and all that, and then just completely do terrible these past Olympics, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just kind of shows, is this guy legit? Is he not legit? And the fact that he was talking all this smack, they got this set up, there's we're going to shut down Times Square and everything like that and have this race, and it's supposed to be this past week. It's well, if you're going to do this, where the hell was the marketing and promotion for it? I mean, I didn't even know that they were actually going to do it for sure. And he says that it's going to happen this past weekend, and it's just if you're going to do this, you got to at least market it a little bit. They didn't do anything of the sort and said, it's canceled. We're not doing it. And it seems like Tyreek yesterday posted a meme, the Simpsons meme of Homer Simpson just kind of fading into the bushes or whatnot, and has Noah Lyles' head in there as well. To be honest with you, I think he's ducking. I really think he's ducking. By the way that he made these comments and everything like that, Voldy, I think he's ducking Tyreekhill. So I think it has my stamp of approval. And the reason being is that I don't know if you can trust Noah Lyles. He just seems to me that he's just a fibber, and he's always gonna tell you half truths or not the truth at all, and just be all talk. So he's kind of one of those guys, and whatnot. So yeah, I think he's ducking Tyreek, and to be honest, I think Tyreek would beat him. I really do. I think Tyreek's fast enough and he can get the job done. So yeah, stamp approval. I think he's ducking. So Voldy, what do you think?
100% Noah Lyles is ducking Tyreekhill. Or could this just all be a bit? Are we setting up for something in the future? Maybe Noah Lyles will start showing up to some of these NFL games and talking smack, and maybe put on a few post routes and show Tyreek how it's really done against. And basically, I mean, we could be setting up something for the very near future of maybe something later on this summer, maybe even into next year. How far are we going to take this before we actually see something out of it? And the fact that they would possibly were to shut down Times Square for one race is a little bit far-fetched in this. They are just building this further and further. I think it's all a bit. I think this is all just a ploy to maybe get a little bit more juice out of it and see how far we can take this. We're getting close to the point. We're talking Mayweather McGregor type, ploys we got going on here with all the trash talk, with all the hype and all the build up to it. But we don't know the end result as of yet. Who knows? It could very well end in a tie for sure, just how fast these two competitors are. And maybe we get a series of races, not just one, not just two, maybe three, maybe five, maybe best of 7 over the next couple of years. Who knows how this will all take place and develop? But I think, is this a ploy? I think 100% sure this is all a ploy. I think that Noah Lyles is ducking Tyreekhill for the fact that they want to, they want to push this thing out as far as possible.
Dummy. Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah. That's all I got to say to Noah Lyles. It's just, I don't trust that guy. I really don't. So, all right, last one of Voldy.
Well, a pretty big trade with the NBA most recently took place with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic, as the Grizzlies did trade Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for not just players, but a whole bevy of picks and future considerations. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies will be getting KCP, that's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round draft picks, and 1 first-round pick that came into consideration for the trade that will be coming up. Now, the pick swap that is for the upcoming NBA lottery. So Orlando will send Memphis the number 16 pick for the 2025, and of course the 2026 first-round pick for those two, with a whole bevy of picks into the mix here for the Grizzlies, which could turn out into something quite substantial for the Grizzlies if they want to be able to build around it, Ja Morant for the future. Now, of course, on the other side, now you get the Orlando Magic getting a guy like Desmond Bane to add into their young squad that they have burgeoning up with Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and of course, Jalen Suggs. Now, with all this taking place here, with this big trade to open up, of course, with the end of the season and into the off season, who do you think benefits most from this trade between the two franchises?
It's a great question. I look at this trade from the beginning, and this Desmond Bane is, I should say, sorry, I don't want to say was, because he's still playing, obviously. But he is a very good player, man. I mean, he's a very good three-point shooter, very good defender as well. Adding him to the squad, this young squad with Franz Wagner and Banchero and Jalen Suggs, our guy, as well. I mean, it shows that they're going to compete in the Eastern Conference. And Eastern Conference is starting to get a little stronger somewhat. Cleveland looks very good. The Pacers, obviously, they're in the finals and whatnot. And the Magic really haven't had a team that's been good for a while now. And now that they've kind of added a little bit more to their team with Bane, I think this can be a very good deal for them. Now, does it benefit them more for the Memphis to get rid of him? I think it benefits the Magic more than it does the Grizzlies. Now, I know they're getting some guys that, again, that have done fairly well. Caldwell Pope's a very good player, but he's a good role player. He's not going to give you like 20 a night, you know what I mean? And now you look at Cole Anthony as well. He really hasn't had that breakout games or anything like that, which why I think the Magic got rid of him. But this past season, he only averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists in those games. So I think, they, instead of the Grizzlies, they're just adding pieces at this point to Ja Morant and Jackson as well. So I think it benefits more the Magic. I mean, you look at there's 4 players on that team now that you have to worry about. And I think it's going to be very tough for a lot of teams to stop those guys because Lancaro, he'll get on you, man. He's a tough cookie. And Wagner is... He's good too, and Jalen Suggs obviously, is kicking ass as well. So I like this. I like this for the Magic. It's got my stamp of approval for the Magic. The Grizzlies, I think it's a little bit of a downgrade, I will say. So stamp of approval for those Orlando Magic. So Voldy, what do you got?
I look at it from the same perspective you do. I think right now, if you had to choose between the two teams, who's most likely to benefit the most right now and make a run, I think it's the Orlando Magic. They have enough young key players on their side to definitely take a lot more considerations. I mean, they played Boston the first round of the playoffs, and they gave the Celtics a lot of fits in that opening round too. With some of those young, impactful players, now you add a piece like a Cole Anthony, or I should say, Desmond Bane. I should say, you throw Desmond Bane into the mix there. That could be a very beneficial piece for them going forward. Now, on the other side, the Grizzlies, they're in a bit of a tough stretch here right now. Of course, they're looking at, a new coaching situation for them. Of course, what's Ja going to be doing with Jackson on top of it? Of course, what are their off the court antics going to amount to them? Hopefully they can stay out of trouble, mostly to the side of Ja Morant, I think. But adding a couple more players there is going to be helpful, and hopefully for the future with those first-round picks that they will be getting in the, to their benefit. Hopefully they can add a couple of pieces on top of it, which could not turn very well into lottery picks, but very well could, depending on how Orlando makes the most out of them, out of their time that they have with their young core players, with Banchero, Wagner, and of course with Jalen Suggs. Now you throw Desmond Bane into the mix there. I definitely say that the Magic definitely benefit a lot more right now going into the upcoming season than the Grizzlies at this current moment.
Watch out for that team, man. I mean,
yep,
they're only going to get better.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting to watch here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. And, that's going to do it for ARA this week. Great job, as always, Voldy, with those. Shield shoutouts tonight. Voldy, this is probably bittersweet for some of these ones.
Yeah.
But, again, they're Minnesota guys and whatnot. And,
yep.
But in the grand scheme of things, Voldy's happy for certain players. So that's the main thing here. So
Of course.
Let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting at tonight?
Well, with the completion of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we do have to send a Shield shout-out, as much as it pains me to say, to the Florida Panthers on winning their second straight Stanley Cup back-to-back. For the last 6 Stanley Cups that have belonged to the state of Florida, of course, with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning their Stanley Cups. Now, of course, Florida is on the rise, which has now added to the list of former Minnesota pro athletes winning a championship after leaving the great state of Minnesota. Does include not only a former Minnesota Wild player, but a former Austin Bruin with his time in the North American Hockey League. Nico Sturm will be added to that list yet again. Won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. And, of course, Dmitry Kulikov will also be on that list. Once again, of course, winning Cup last year with the Florida Panthers. And, of course, do have to send a special shield shout-out to Brad Marchand, former captain of the Boston Bruins, winning his second Stanley Cup after 14 years after winning his first one in his first full season when it was 2011 in the Boston Bruins. Now a 14-year hiatus, two-time Stanley Cup champion, that being Brad Marchand. And, of course, with the Stanley Cup being awarded after it was the captain, Sasha Barkov, hoisting Lord Stanley for the second time. And, of course, as the captain's duty, he handed it off to a guy that went from being undrafted out of St. Cloud Cathedral High School, playing from the Washington Capitals, being a member of the original Misfits of the Vegas Golden Knights, going on to the Cup Finals, but ultimately in their first year falling short of said mark. Then bouncing around from time in Vancouver to Winnipeg before landing in Florida, St. Cloud's very own Nate Schmidt is a Stanley Cup champion. Or just maybe, we might have a Stanley Cup sighting in St. Cloud coming up here later this summer. Hopefully we have something coming that way. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, I do have to send a shield shout-out to my lovely family as well for Father's Day on Sunday. I was a little bit under the weather on Sunday, but still had a major opportunity to spend time with family, loved ones as well. Got a really couple of nice Father's Day presents, anniversary presents as well from a couple weeks prior on top of it. And definitely want to send a big shield shout-out to the whole family, including my wife, Sarah,
cash,
and my two kids, Case and Tate, for their part in making Father's Day oh so plenty and oh so great to be able to spend time with them. That's going to do it for shield shout-outs.
Just about that action, boss.
Just about that action, boss. Yes, happy Father's Day as well to you. And great job with shield shout-outs, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Shout out to all those Minnesota guys and your guy, Marchand, as well. So, yeah, if you see the Stanley Cup there, I mean, obviously, you know what to do. Take a photo, check it out, all that stuff. So,
I've taken a picture of the Stanley Cup before.
Yeah, so, you have. That's right. Yeah, now that
long time ago.
Yeah,
long time ago.
That's
but
right.
Definitely wouldn't mind seeing it in the hands of a real champion. So
True. And like I said, too, I've seen the Super Bowl, the Lombardi Trophy. I have a photo of that, and that has gone to the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately. But, it's whatever. It's the Super Bowl trophy. It was sitting right there in front of me, which is awesome. Great job with shield shout-outs tonight, Voldy.
Thank you, sir.
The deal, Voldy, we got one thing in the works. I've talked to some people know, but we will have it on the social medias here, hopefully next week, just so we're gathering people, and we will reveal that as well here very soon. But, Voldy, we do have one thing that now people are starting to order nowadays, and that is our 5-year anniversary hats. Yes, Voldy has them right there. Take a look at those.
Bam! That's one design. Bam! That's the one design. I don't know why I did that again. Bam! There's the other one right there. These things are awesome. We got 5 of each. 5 of each of these. And I don't know, and I'm pretty confident we might not be getting more. So get them while they're here. 5th anniversary.
Get them while they're hot.
Get them while they're hot. And I will throw this out there as well. Got a few more things in the works as well when it comes to said headwear. I will throw that out there. I've got some things in the works.
Guys, we've got a lot of things happening. I mean, that's the main.
Variety is the spice of life here, folks.
Yeah, you guys know the deal. I mean, it's the 5-year anniversary. You see the logo, the gold, the everything that we thank everyone that's been interested, and a lot of people are going for these hats and other merch as well. So be tuned in next week on our socials for the next reveal. So anyway, guys, if you're kind of like, well, I kind of want the original stuff. We have the original stuff. We've got sweatpants. We've got shirts. We've got quarter zips. We've got those hats. Yes, we still have the camo. We still have the 4th of July / Memorial Day / America hats. Whatever you want to put it as, we got it for those hats. And you guys, we got the tumblers. We've got the winter caps. If you were just like, I want to get ahead in winter, we can do that for you. Happy to do so. So make sure you guys talk to us. We got the stickers as well, $2 for the small ones, $3 for the big ones. So thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. And make sure you check out our guy, W2 Performance, Will Rattel. He's killing it as per usual. www.w2performance.com. If you want to see a guy that probably could take on a gorilla by himself, that would be Will Rattel. I'm just saying, the guy's just, he's insane.
See, you need 2 Will Rattels. One to fight the gorilla, one to film it.
Yeah!
Awesome.
That would be awesome. Yes, I think he could get it done. But guys, fantasy football, it's creeping up. It's just creeping a little bit. If you want to check out all fantasy stuff, the Brotherly Ballers podcast is the show for you. Shout out to Tyler and Jack. They'll be probably getting going here very soon, but talking Jack a little bit as well. So keep in tune with that. Make sure you check out our guy, Trey Steinmeier Jr., TLS Performance, doing awesome things as well. And make sure you check out the Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff and Ryne Meyerberg as well. Omni Entertainment, they've did a couple of reviews these past weeks, and obviously there's an episode weekly, as you've seen as well. So make sure you check out those guys on the YouTube, socials, the whole deal. So that's going to do it for episode 244. We have a lot to go with. The Twins have been sucking. We'll probably talk about that. Vikings are starting to kind of have some news pop up here and there, but not too much. But Wild off-season, Wolves off-season, Durant talks will keep you in tune on the socials as well in regards to that. So, without further ado, as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.